G'day gang, sitting in the toy room here with Rocky behind me. Today I'm going to show you all the fuse boxes and the different types of fuses that you will find in a Ranger Super Duty. Let's go have a look.
Hello and welcome to Audrey the Icon Adventures. I'm Connie.
And I'm Daryl.
And this is Audrey the Icon.
Let's have a look at what's under the bonnet here. The first fuse box that we can see is right here. That's the auxiliary fuse box, and we've talked about that in a previous episode, and that's for all the overhead switches. The next fuse box that they talk about is right here on the battery positive post. And this really big critter here is the main fuse box. In the manual they talk about it being under the hood, written by a Yank obviously, because we all know in Australia that it's under the bonnet. With these fuses here on the auxiliary fuse and relay box, there's a little 5 amp there, there's a little micro 2, and then the other 5 here are various sizes. They are all M-case unslotted. A nice close look at the battery positive post here. You'll see this purple fuse right here. That's a mini ATM. A different view of the battery positive post. You'll see this black cover here just near my handy dandy pointer. In underneath that there's a 125 amp mini fuse. That mini fuse provides the power to the auxiliary relay and fuse unit that I showed you just before. And there's a view of the main under-bonnet fuse block with the cover off. You'll see 2 types of fuses here in the main under-bonnet battery box. The small ones are all micro 2s, and all the larger pink and purple topped fuses, they're all slotted M-case. To access the body control module fuse unit, we need to lower this panel here that's below the steering column. The first time I went to do this, I was quite nervous that it was going to break. Anyway, just with a little bit of persistence and being careful, I found that by reaching up into here, I could pull gently and it would start easing the clips out. Same again up by reaching into this area, because all of your headlight controls come down with the panel, and as it pops then down the side here you can get your fingertips in there to ease it down. You'll see the clips on the back of that panel when I pull it down for you. Now we're looking a little closer at the panel that we've lowered from underneath the steering column, and you'll see some tealy blue colour and white colour clips on it. That's what holds it up. It is on a little hinge right down there at the base. And this particular fuse box, you'll see up the top is a nice big green maxi fuse. Then there's a whole heap of micro 2s, and then there's also a bundle of micro 3 fuses on this unit. Putting the panel back up, just fold it up careful. It is only a plastic hinge down the bottom, and just push each of those clips in with just a firm tap with your hand, and it'll all click back up into place nice and neat and tidy. Here are the fuses that I carry in Rocky. From the left, 5s, 7.5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 amp, and they're all micro 2 and micro 3s. And just to show you what a micro 2 or micro 3 is, a micro 2 is on the right there. It's literally a 2-legged fuse of that size, and a micro 3 is a 3-legged fuse of that size. And just over to the left of that is a 125 amp MIDI fuse. That's the spare for the auxiliary switch and relay box under the bonnet. I don't have a spare 30 amp maxi fuse. That is required for the body control module fuse block, and I don't happen to have a spare 3 amp ATM mini fuse, which is what is on top of the battery positive post. Therefore, I've got a couple of items to order in for myself to get my fuse kit so it's ready to travel. Let's talk a little bit about what I found about all the fuses. I used the manual and that gave me a lot of the information. I had a look at the body equipment mounting manual and that gave me a little bit more information. Not quite as thorough as what is in the handbook. And then I went and actually looked at all the fuses that are in the various locations. And I found some differences between what it says, particularly in this manual, as opposed to what is physically in the vehicle. All of that was in the main fuse unit underneath the bonnet. There was some wacky sized ones. They're like 45 and 65 amp. And it would seem, according to the manual, they were meant to be 40 and 60 amp. I did some research with one of my suppliers that specialises in supplying fuses, and those particular fuses at the moment are not even in production for us to be able to go and buy to put in our spares box. Maybe Ford's got some that they can sell you. I don't know, probably 10 or 15 bucks each or something crazy. I'll wait until my supplier is able to source them and they'll come in at about $3 to $4 each for that particular type of fuse. So that was a difference that I found between the manual and what was in the car. The manual was able to guide me to the various locations in the car, which was great, helped me understand. When it just shows an arrow pointing underneath the steering column and you look at that big panel, it's like, yeah, it's obviously held in by clips. So as I said a little earlier, I was very nervous about pulling that off because all too often plastic breaks. Anyway, it did all come off. Nothing broke, nothing went flying through the air, thankfully. And then it all went back together nice and easy. And now I know where all those fuses are. It was good to work out what types of fuses are in each location, because the manual has a page there that says, hey, look, there are all these different types of fuses. Yet when you look up, let's just grab one from random, shall we? I'll go to, what do you reckon? That page there. All right. We'll look at fuse number 91. This is in the main battery unit. And it's a 40 amp fuse and it's for the trailer tow module. What type of fuse is that 40 amp fuse? Anyway, I was able to spend a bit of time and go through every fuse in the vehicle, and I actually updated my book to tell me what it is. So I can tell you that that particular one, if I remember what my code stands for here, let me look it up quickly. That one is a slotted M case, right? And there's a lot of slotted M case in that particular fuse holder. And there's all the rest that's not slotted M case in that one are all micro 2s. I showed you on the shelf in here just before difference between a micro 2 and a micro 3. You need both because in the body control module you will find both there. There's a couple of odd dog out type fuses. One of those is that 125 amp midi fuse hanging off the side of the battery positive post. That feeds the aux relays. And the other one is the little 3 amp one that's underneath the red cover on the battery positive terminal. Yeah, just for something different. I imagine that's how the manufacturer made it. Ford just buys a million of them and that's what we end up with. So a different type of fuse for each of those locations. Not impossible to get hold of though. I will read a warning out of the handy manual here, and this is fuse precautions. Warning, always replace a fuse with one that has the specified amperage rating. Using a fuse with a higher amperage rating can cause severe wire damage and could start a fire. So please, if it's a 5 amp fuse and it blew, only put another 5 amp fuse in there. Before you do though, have a little bit of a think about why did that fuse blow. Fuses typically don't blow for the heck of it. There's a reason. Now, it could be that it's old, it's been vibrating, and a bit of dirt has got in with the contacts and it's making a bit of a dicky connection even. It's made it get hot. Heat is what makes a fuse blow. So, yeah, just if a fuse blows, just do a little bit of fault finding and make sure they don't blow for the sake of it. Good quality, bad quality fuses, I've never come across that. I've seen people say that. Whether it's true or not, I don't know, so I'll let them be the experts on that. For all the fuses I've ever had to replace over the years, it only blew again because there was something wrong further down the wire, be it the actual wire itself was shorting or whatever device that wire happened to be connected to had an issue. Fix the issue and the fuse won't blow. As you saw, I carry a nice little collection of fuses in Rocky. We travel all over the place, and sometimes if you're out in the middle of, hey, the Simpson Desert, which we will be doing one day, not this year, fuse blows, you want to have some spares. You don't want to be jamming a nail in or a screw in where it was a 3 amp fuse. That's not quite the right thing to do. If it was your only option, yeah, maybe. I think I'd be stripping a bit of wire down and putting a couple of strands of copper in there first before I went for the 6-gauge screw. With the breakdown of the various fuses in the different modules, the body control module typically is looking after stuff that's inside the cabin for you. Mind you, under the bonnet also provides power through to various items inside the cabin as well as to the rest of the car. I've got to jump in and order some fuses from my supplier so I can finish off the kit here for Rocky. If you're interested in having a kit, jump over to our Audrey the Icon Adventures Facebook page and reach out to us on Messenger, and that's the last plug I'll do for that. Hopefully this episode has given you some more insight into what you need to know about the Ranger Super Duty. It'll help you have the spare parts that you need for when you're travelling around this beautiful country of ours. Thanks for watching, and as always, travel safe and catch you later.